Let me guess. As an insurance agent, you've probably tried cold email before. You bought a list, you used a template that you found on Google, maybe even ran a small campaign, and the results? Most likely nothing. Or maybe you haven't tried cold email at all because you've heard it doesn't work, or maybe it's too spammy, or maybe because someone random you don't even know has convinced you that's true. But I'm here today to tell you something that most gurus won't. Cold email does work. It's just that 90% of insurance agents are doing it completely wrong. So in this video, I'm going to give you a brutally honest breakdown of how cold email actually works for insurance agents. Whether you're independent, captive, B2B, B2C, whatever, it really doesn't matter. You're going to learn the real strategies that are actually generating appointments and building meaningful relationships, including frameworks, scripts, and our personal approach that helps agencies get high value leads on board every week. So let's get straight into it. So here it is, my compilation of the most brutally honest cold email advice for insurance agents. So the key thing I want you to keep in mind for this video is that cold email is not dead. Bad cold email, lazy cold email, that's dead. And it always has been. So here's why most insurance agents fail with cold email, what actually works in 2026, and how to book real appointments, not get spam replies. And so the question we hear most often is, why isn't this working? And the familiar pattern is that you bought a list, you used the generic template, you sent a few campaigns, and you got nothing. And so that convinces you that cold email seems broken. But the truth is always uncomfortable when you think something is broken and it's really not. And as I was leading to, cold email is not dead. That's really the truth. Lazy cold email is dead, bad cold email is. But if you're not getting replies, it's usually because you're doing one or more of the following. Number one is wrong targeting. So you're sending to people who really don't need what you offer. Or maybe you're sending to otherwise qualified people, but they've just been bombarded with 1,623 other people who are also cold emailing them. Number two is generic messaging. So copy that could be sent to anyone. And this is really a big realization that takes some time to come to a person. Cold email is one-to-one communication because you are one person and you're sending it to another person. But if the copy or the chain between the two people seems like it could be sent to anyone, the person on the other end will think that you're just blasting out these messages. So in other words, one-to-one communication should seem like one-to-one communication. You shouldn't be sending an email that you could send to pretty much anyone. People want to be heard. People want to read something that's personalized for them. And then the third one is asking for too much too fast. Some people are trying to close before building trust, and this is something I've done myself. But once you realize it, it's pretty obvious. Lead generation is indeed part of the sale, but when the person hasn't even replied to your first touch, why would you even try to close them? You're not even sure whether they're interested or not. And so once you truly fix all of those three pillars, results are guaranteed to follow. But right now, I'm going to give you actionable steps that are part of our strategy for fixing cold emailing. Step number one is to have hyper-specific targeting. And so if this already seems a bit confusing, don't be so confused. Over here, I've created a 9-step framework. I've actually went over in some of my past videos, but it covers all you need to know, from creating your cold email offer, to filtering and getting leads, to scraping your leads, to qualifying leads, to verifying your leads, and all of that good stuff so you can get ready for a campaign. I'll leave this link in the description as well. And along with that, I've actually recently opened 3 more free one-on-one consultation spots inside of my calendar where we can talk over your cold email strategy or something else you're trying to do with AI. The link for that is going to be in the same place as this entire resource, so you can check both of them out in the description at the same time. So just know that all of the steps I'm talking about here will be mentioned in greater detail inside of this resource doc, but right now I just want you to listen to this part. So the single biggest piece of advice in targeting is stop emailing everyone. Instead, you should be emailing the owner, the head of HR, maybe the CFO, and you should understand what problem keeps them up at night, what problem affects them, what pain point they have, and what changed recently that might make them care now. And so even with great copy, if you have bad targeting, it's not going to work, because then the great copy turns into bad copy. And then step two, you should have first lines that get read. Your first line decides everything, as they like to say. The first impression is a big deal. So something like this gets deleted where it's obviously a pitch. We help businesses save on premiums. Whereas something like saw you're hiring for remote roles or read your post on employee retention are successful. And this is because 10 seconds of research to get this kind of information shows the person you actually care. Whereas even if you have 10 years of experience and you send this kind of email, they won't know that because they just click off as soon as they see the sales pitch. And so step three, so the goal is not to sell a policy. And to be clear, you can be cold emailing businesses, not just to directly sell them an insurance policy. There is also a very underrated strategy that we've recently been exploring, which uses cold email to message other businesses and have them act as your referral partners, but the framework is very similar. The goal is to unlock the next step, which allows you to build that relationship, to get some trust in, and more. And over here, something that I've put, I wouldn't exactly call this a high converting call to action myself. I would say it's a higher converting call to action. But even asking a question like this, or maybe asking them if they want to see some more info, that's already much better than selling them. And so low pressure leads to more replies. High pressure is usually associated with sales or something along the lines of that. So that leads to less replies. Moving on with step 4, deliverability matters. So great emails still fail in spam. And that's because of those 3 pillars. And so here are 3 non-negotiables that we employ ourselves for every single setup that we've ever done. The first is you want to send from secondary domains. The reason we never send from our main domain, which your website would be on, is because if that goes to spam, all of the mailboxes on that domain will also go to spam because each domain has its own reputation. And even if a few emails go to spam, the rest are affected too. The second point is email warm-up. And email warm-up is done so that you can build the sender reputation gradually. Essentially, what it means is that every day you're sending an increasing amount of emails to other email addresses that have been set up specifically to reply back and forth to convince Google, Microsoft, and other email providers that the mailboxes you are sending from are reliable and not spammy. And so a lot of people think that these warm-up emails, you have to type them out yourself, but platforms like Instantly, and I'm not sponsored by them, it's just my honest take, I think they're the best cold emailing platform. Instantly actually offers warm-up with all of your mailboxes. So when you get any of their plans, whether it be the lowest or the highest one, you can set up automated warm-up. So as you can see here, these green fires indicate that warm-up is on, and I can pause if I choose to pause. But here you can see the warm-up emails being sent, and it tells me how many get sent every day. Usually, you want to start at around 0 emails. You want to increase the daily warm-up amount by 2 emails every day until you get to 30 emails, and you want to warm for around 3 weeks, but you still want to keep warm-up on forever. It's a bit of a longer story to explain, but just know that you have to do that. And then the third pillar is obviously slow volume ramp up. You start small with your campaigns. So as with the warm-up, you start by sending around 2 emails per day. And by the time your mailboxes are fully ready to go for the real campaigns, you could be sending upwards of 20, 25, 30 at most emails per mailbox. And Instantly somehow managed to kill this feature as well. I'm very happy that they managed to do it. You actually have the campaign slow ramp feature. So you can enable it, and it is recommended. And as you can see here, you can gradually increase the number of campaign emails sent per day. So I think that's awesome. Just the idea that you can have all of those features in one app. I've included some more information about this inside of this entire resource document that I have for you here, so you can check that out too. And then once again, if your setup is bad, your copy never gets seen. It's the same thing as the targeting. If one of your elements is significantly off and it doesn't really harmonize with the other ones, then your copy is never going to get seen and you're not going to get any interested people. Now, step 5, honestly my favorite one, is that follow-up wins. Most replies don't come on the first email. They actually come in on your follow-ups. So with most of our campaigns, I think around 75 to 80%, I would say, interested replies come only after we follow up with people. So 1 email campaigns are not going to click it. 2 email campaigns are not going to click it. At the minimum, you want 3 emails in your sequence in total. So the first email plus at least 2 follow-ups. But if you have a lot of free value to offer, and that can mean sending people a free course maybe, which can include sending people something like an overview or something else that they might find valuable, you can often stretch your email sequences to around 5 to 7 emails, but you can even do it with simple lines like this one, just bubbling this back up in case it slipped through. And even though this line might not seem like it has a lot of value in it, if the person sees this one and actually goes back to your first email, which is hopefully filled with value, then you're going to get way more replies. And so here are just some examples of things that are working right now. Best perform niches. Small business owners are always going to need it. Not exactly sure about human resources as much anymore, but real estate offices, people involved in mortgages, CPAs, all of those profiles are pretty responsive to insurance emails as long as they follow all of the standards we've mentioned so far. So the formula: paint first, clean setup, simple call to action, accompanied by anywhere from 2 to 4 follow-ups. And as I mentioned before, obviously you can access this entire library of resources. I'm going to have a school community coming soon for all of you insurance agents who are interested in more of this kind of information, plus a bunch of other templates, frameworks, and other things that you can use revolving around AI and lead generation to help yourself out. And this is just one of many things I have planned for you. And as I mentioned previously in the video, if you're looking to set up your cold email machine, or you have a few questions about things like deliverability, how to write copy, and those kinds of things, don't hesitate to book that free one-on-one consultation. I've opened up only 3 spots for this video, so if it sounds like a good idea for you, just go to the description. All you need to do is click a few buttons and you're going to be all signed up and good to go with me. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brutally Honest Advice for Insurance Agents and got some helpful value out of it. And with that, I appreciate you for checking out this video and watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.